Good morning, participants. Dr. Ajay, can you hear me?
Yes, Professor Anand, I can hear you.
Thank you. First of all, I welcome all the participants on the 7th day of 1 week workshop on research methodology. Today, we are very much enthusiastic and feeling nostalgic also that today the great event will conclude, and we all have been enjoying this all 7-day sessions. Dear participant, in these 7 days I will again recap. We learned, we discussed, we deliberated on various fundamental aspects of research methodology. What is research? What are different aspects of research? How will you design the complete research design, sampling design? How will you prepare your questionnaire, your instrument, the most important instrument? What factors you will keep in mind while designing the questionnaire? We discussed the hands-on practice, the numerical aspects, the other technical aspects, various techniques of hypothesis testing, various tests we discussed. So I'm sure by now you all have the first level of knowledge and expertise and experience that how to carry a research. Most of, I can see the participants are young research scholars. That was our criteria also. I can see some faculty members are also there. They might have already studied research methodology. They may have attended few programs as well. But for the fresher scholars, this program is certainly going to be a very, very beneficial program. And I'm sure that yesterday's session on plagiarism and research ethics is very important. We all belongs to knowledge community and we all belongs to higher education. It is our responsibility to carry out research ethically. Now this issue of ethics is debated world over. Our government, our higher education bodies, University Grant Commission and other bodies, they are giving a lot of importance to this issue. We have to avoid this plagiarism menace. We have to, educate our friends, our colleagues, our scholars, our students, and how they can avoid it. So today also we have very, very important topic that we all aspire after getting this program. We all aspire, we want to publish our papers, our research in good journals. In last 2-3 years, there has been a huge debate. UGC has been, categorizing various journals and various bodies has been done changes, revisions. So this is a talk of the day. How to publish your papers in good journals. So today we will take up this issue. Dr. Ajay Kumar. Dr. Ajay?
Yes, Dr. Anand, I can hear you.
Once again, I welcome you. Today, you have been hosts for all the 6 days, but now you are our worthy expert. And I'm sure, let me tell you, participant, Dr. Ajay has 10 years of experience in teaching and research. He has published papers in most of the reputed journals of the world, I must say, and his average impact factor is somewhere 3.5 plus. So I'm sure that he will share his experience how to publish in good journals. Dr. Ajay has been working with us. Before working with us, he has worked with Central University of Himachal Pradesh, as well as NIIT University, Rajasthan. So over to Ajay. And before Dr. Ajay start, a point of question. Today we will be, administering 2 feedback phones. One in this session and one in the another session, second session after lunch. So what will be the timings for after lunch? After this session, Dr. Ajay Pal Sharma will explain and he will detail various aspects and questions of attendance and all issues after this lecture. So this lecture as well as the next validity session is very important. Okay, over to Dr. Ajay.
Thank you, Dr. Anand, for the introduction. I am first of all thankful to Central University of Haryana, convener of the workshop, Dr. Anand, co-convener, Dr. A.P. Sharma, all the members of the organizing committee, each one of you. I am thankful for giving me this chance of speaking to the participants about this very, very important and pertinent topic, which is how to publish in good journals. So for that, let me share my screen with all of you straight away without wasting much of the time. When I am talking on this, let me be very much clear about 1 or 2 aspects which I think would make the stage a little bit comfortable for all of us. What I will be speaking today is my experience. This is what only I am speaking from, whatever experience I have. So I think that it would be better to share something which you have personally felt rather than reading the things in the books. And most of the things which I will talk about today, these you might not find in the books, might not find in the articles. So what I'm trying to say is these are very small things, but yet very important. And therefore, if we can kind of concentrate on those things, maybe we will increase our chances of reaching to these journals, right? So this is what I think I should be sharing with all of you in the starting of the talk. Now, let me erase this. Someone has starting annotating. Okay, now we are good to go. So let us start. So I will try to be in touch with the chat box also. So if you can type your questions, I will try to see that. Otherwise, Dr. A.P. Sharma, one of my dearest colleague, he's in constant touch with the chat box also. So he'll be taking up questions in the end. So I think that way we can do that. Okay. So again, the same thing that I was telling you, let me be very clear. I'm only sharing my experience. I mean, I do not know how the world look at the expert and expertise. Generally, the people who come and speak in these workshops are called as experts. But I feel that, as Robert Altman said sometimes, the man who is behind, he's a celebrated Hollywood director, the man who is behind the movies like MASH, Long Goodbye, Nashville, Three Women, Secret Honor, The Player, if you have watched any of these his celebrated movies, I'm quoting him, and he was of the opinion that he is not an expert, and that is someone else's job. And I would say it is not someone else's job, but it is the God's job to be perfect. So I'm just sharing my experience, and we will get into the discussion mode maybe, and that will help all of us to make better sense of the topic at hand. This is how I have planned today. First of all, we will talk and try to understand the system of the journals and the journal publications. And then we will try to understand the various types of articles. And that will be followed by writing research articles, how to write, what to do, what not to do. And then some practical guides, some pointers, which I can tell you. And I think they will be quite handy for all of us to make sense of this. First thing, we need to know and we need to understand where we are coming from. if you would go back to the general history, how it all has started, the history traces us back to 1665. It is said that the first journal was Des Cavans. It was a French journal. It came in 1665. And that journal has started publishing. This is first, in fact, on record, things that goes back to where from we are coming. And then in 1731, these are some milestones that has happened since then. In 1731, we see the first peer-reviewed journal. I mean, you have had a discussion around this yesterday, how to be taking care of plagiarism and all that. And the peer review is another criteria by which we take care of the quality of the journals and quality of the articles published. So this peer reviewing system started way back in 1731. Then another milestone that I must discuss with you is in 1869, when the world's top journal Nature started publishing. That was in November 1869. So I know that you would all know about the Nature, the world's most celebrated journal. If you will go to Google, it is carrying the #1 spot, and it has been carrying the #1 spot also. Then the thing which has been the point of discussion for us academicians, especially, impact factor. If you would look, impact factor was started in 1975. So today we are talking of the relative importance of an article or relative importance of a journal by gauging its impact factor. Now that is something which is coming from 1975. So that was another milestone I think we should not be forgetting. And then we are today sitting in digital mode. Who could have thought some time back that we would be doing this workshop in digital form? Now this entire thing of making the articles and research available digitally to the world at large has started in 1991. So these are 5 milestones. Now there can be many other milestones also, because 1665, a lot of centuries has passed since then. So there were many things, but these are some few of the things which I think I should and we should discuss so that we understand where we are coming from. Now starting with one journal in 1665, today this is where we are sitting at. If you would look at, I have here pointed out some of the best publication houses who are publishing journals. Imagine starting from 1600s with one journal. Today we are having plenty of journals with us, not one, not two, but many. Now, for instance, Springer, who is one of the most respected, prestigious journal publisher, he is offering 3,000 plus journals today. He's publishing 3,000 plus journals today. Elsevier is publishing more than 2,500 journals. Sage is publishing more than 1,600 journals. And Ville and Sons is publishing more than 1,600 journals, and Taylor and Francis is publishing more than 2,700 journals. Obviously, the list is not exhaustive. I have not put in the Emerald, I have not put in InterScience, I have not put in Oxford Press, I have not put in Harvard. So there are many other publishers also. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that today we are living in a world where there are many, many journals available to us. Now, most of the audience to whom I'm talking today are from the research students field. So they are the people who have taken admission into PhD, and some of the faculty members are also there. So the first question that comes to us when we are thinking of publishing anywhere is, how on earth do I start that which journal to target? The talk today is how to publish in good journals. So perhaps the first point in understanding how to publish in good journals starts from what are good journals, right? So if you could add up these numbers, they would add up to, I don't know how much, you can do the maths, 3,000 plus 2,000, 1,600, 1,600, 2,700, and you keep on adding. There are thousands of journals today. How do I know which one is good for me? How do I know? How do I start? This is the first step. So this is where I will start the discussion today. It's so important to understand the journal system. How do I know that this is the good journal and I can go for that, right? So in that context, I will give you 5 steps, and I call them as 5 steps to journal selection. So these steps will help us in selecting a journal. The first step, which actually would let us know that this journal I should target, this is a good journal. Publication comes later, but first comes the selection. What should you look at when you are looking at a journal? The first thing that you should look at is the publisher. On the previous slide, I have shared with you some of the reputed publishers like Springer, like Taylor and Francis, like there are so many publishers. So first point that you have to look at while you are trying to get hold of a good journal is to look at a journal which is coming from a good publisher. That is very, very, very important today, right? Publishers have their own standards, have their own criteria, and they do not accept any Dom, Dick and Harry journal unless they do not cater to a basic level of standards and quality. So for example, you can look to Springer, you can look to elsewhere, you can look to Sage, John Wiley and Sons, Taylor and Francis, Emerald, InterScience. These are some Oxford University Press, Harvard Press. You can look at these publishers. Any journal which is coming from these publishers would at least be, a minimum quality journal. So this is the first step. Look for the publisher, right? Second step that you can look at is, out of all the journals which are published by these very good reputed publishers, you can then look at that which of these journals are listed in any reputed database. Now, the way we are laddering it up is the 5 steps that I'm showing you. Each incremental step actually talks of an incremental quality of the journal also. So just to put this in perspective, the publisher point, you can find many journals being published by these reputed publishers, but not all those journals which are published by all these are listed in these databases. So like Scopus, SSCI, Web of Science, not every journal is finding place. So the selection becomes a little more difficult. So a journal which is published by Springer, but is not listed in any of these databases, obviously is a less heavy journal than the journal which is listed in those databases. So first look at the publisher. Then if you want to target a better journal than these, you can go to those journals which are listed in those databases. Now, for example, SSCI do not list any journal which does not have an impact factor, right? So obviously you have to consider and treat this journal as to be a better quality journal and more difficult to publish in this journal than any journal which is actually being published by any other publisher. Point number 3. Impact factor. If you still want to get your paper published in even a better quality journal, you can look for the journals which are having impact factor, right? Again, I'm telling you, as we are going up the ladder, as we are increasing our steps, we are increasing the quality of the journals also. Now, for example, just to put this in perspective, I am today we have a lot of IMs and they're publishing journals also. Now, for example, Vision is being published by Sage, but it is not currently having an impact factor, right? So what I'm trying to tell you is, so you can consider Vision as to be a good journal, but it is still not having any impact factor. So which means the quality of this journal is not vis-a-vis with the quality of those journals who are having the impact factor. So if you would like to start your publication story, you can start with anything which is being published by these publishers. But if you want to get up into the ladder, you can look for the journals which are having impact factor also, right? So to put a very quick note on that, impact factor are the average number of citations that each paper in a journal is getting on an average in last 2 years, right? So if a journal has an impact factor of 3, so that means every paper published in that journal on an average has got 3 citations in last 2 years. Then the 4th number is, if you want to make your life a little more difficult in case of publishing, you can go to the graded journals. Now, for example, in my field, we have 2 very prestigious grading systems. One is ABDC and one is UK ABS. So ABDC is Australian Business Deans Council and Association of Business Schools UK. These 2 bodies grade journals and they give categories. Now, for example, ABDC give A category journal, B category journal, C category journal, D category journal, and ABS equally ranks the journal. So a journal which is an A star in ABDC, it is more difficult to publish in that journal. It is easy to publish in an impact factor journal, but it is difficult to publish as you will go up into the grading of the journals, right? So this is step number 4. And step number 5, very important. You need to look at your researcher life cycle also. Now, what do I mean by that is, if today I'm starting the stuff, today I have started writing the stuff, if I today started eyeing a 4-star or A-star journal in ABTC and UK ABS, it would be highly optimistic of me to do that. I should not do it, right? So then what will happen? I will submit to A-star, I will submit to 4-star, and then they will reject it, and I will say, no, it does not make sense to me. Now let me go to any Tom, Dick, and Harry journal, and the motivation breaks down, and that is the end of the story. Better it is that you start where you belong, and that is what we mean by researcher life cycle. If we are beginning, so if you're a research scholar, you should be just looking at a journal which is published by any prestigious publisher. So point number 1 in this 5-step process. So if you are into a considerable growth stage of your career, you can look to journals listed in database and those journals which are having impact factor. If you are into maturity, you can look for better graded journals like 4 or 3 level journal ABS, or A or A-star level journals in ABDC. So you need to look at your researcher life cycle, very important. Many people die their motivation because they are actually targeting the wrong journal, right? So if I am if I am a very seasoned researcher, I am Jagdish Seth, I can target 4-star, I can target A-star, but today sitting here, if I target 4-star, it will be very difficult, right? So look at these 5 points, important points to journal selection. Now, when you are looking at these points, I also want to caution you about something which is very important. The 5 steps that I've told you, today we are living in a world where it is very difficult to get to the original thing. There are many journals, bogus journals, I will say, who claim that I'm having all these 5 criteria. So they would say that, I'm being published by a very good publisher, but when you will minutely look at it, they are coming from any street. When they would say I'm listed in database, but that database would not be the SSCI or Web of Science or all those databases. They would be talking of, say, Google Scholar, they would be talking of, say, JGate. These are not very prestigious databases. They would also say impact factor. Now, this is an interesting story. Impact factor, they would say, I'm very much amazed to hear this, that a journal which has started just 2 years back, they say that I'm having impact factor of 9. It is not true. Let me tell you, my friends, a top journal in my field, Journal of Academy of Marketing Science, it is having an impact factor of 9. It is a top journal. It takes your everything inside out to publish in that journal, and that is still having 9 impact factor. How come a journal which has started publishing just 2 years back can have impact factor of 10? You need to be very careful while you look at those claims by these predatory journals. You need to look at which agency is giving these impact factors. Now, for example, the good journals are having these impact factors coming from plagiarism analytics. You would have heard this. Earlier, the impact factors were given by Thomson Reuters. So now the plagiarism analytics has taken over Thomson Reuters. So the plagiarism analytics impact factor you need to look at. So if any journal comes to you and say, I am having impact factor of 8, 5, 4, 9, 10, whatever, you need to look at which agency has given this impact factor to this journal, right? Very important to look at. And then they would also say grading claim, but they would say that I am listed in a very prestigious grading system of the journals and all that, but these are not those things. So I'm very much cautioning you that the previous slide that I've shown you, all those 5 points are important to look at, but do not fall prey to the tricks of these predatory journals who claim that I'm having all these things all together. Just to again put this in perspective. Now look at this article published by the editor of Journal of Marketing Channels. Research fraud. Today we are living in a world where either you publish or perish. But that does not mean, you can read this article, and that is why I'm showing it to you. You can go to Journal of Marketing Channel, volume 23, published in 2016, and you can note down the name of the paper also, Research Fraud and Publish or Perish World of Academy. Now everyone is agreeing to this, we have to publish, otherwise we will perish, but that does not mean that we fall pity to all those predatory journals. these are the mails that I received. I mean, look at this. Is the mail, they say that my impact factor is 4.490. This is another mail, they say that my impact factor is 2.545. I do not know the agency who is giving this impact factor, so I will not more comment on that. This is a series of publications that Indian Express has done some time back. I do not know whether you have gone through it or not. That was in 2018, wherein entire campaign was done by Indian Express just to expose that how India is actually, becoming hub of fake research papers. And this was followed by a lot of news clippings, a lot of news articles. So a company which has started with one journal, in just 10 years, they are publishing 1,500 journals. You would receive some mails, they would say, I will publish in 3 days, this is the fees. Do not fall for those journals. And hence, this is a lot of these news clippings you will find around those times. And then looking at this, government has also responded to this Express series, the Express campaign, and they said that we'll end the minutes of predatory journals. And then the HRD Minister Prakash Javadekar has said in Lok Sabha that we will end this menace of predatory journals. And you would recall this, this letter was also shown to you yesterday when you were discussing the plagiarism. But this is a kind of, acknowledgement by the top regulatory authority of our country that we have to maintain academic integrity, and they have to, the very fact that they have come up with this letter, that is an acknowledgement that we are somewhere in trouble as far as our publication standards are concerned, right? So we are falling prey to those predatory journals, so we need to escape from all that net. Other things which you can look at while selecting a journal. I'm still on to the first point, how to select a good journal, and then we will talk of how to publish. See, this is a speed and processing Excel sheet, which one of my co-authors, Professor Justin Paul, has shared with me. Now, this is actually telling you that which journal is taking how much of time in their publication process. Now, for example, British Journal of Management, published by this house, is taking 11 days to 1 month in desk rejecting a paper. So if you submit to these journals within 11 days, it is expected that you will get something from the journal. So you will not waste much of the time. And they give 30 days time to their reviewers. And in actuality, they might take up to 77 days. And this R2 is revision 2. So the reviewer cycle, I will discuss that. You submit to a journal, then it goes to a reviewer reviews it, gives it back to the journal editor. So then if the revision is suggested, it is sent back to the author. So this is R2 is revision 2. So does this journal reject after R2? Yes, it rejects even after R2. And their desk rejection rate is 53%. So of 100 articles that this journal is receiving, they're straight away rejecting without even getting into the review process more than 50 articles. So why this slide is important? Because you can then look at that which journal can save you some time. There are some fast journals. There are some very slow journals. So you can submit depending upon your requirement. Now look at this global strategy journal. Within 3 days, the editor responds to you. And the time that is given to reviewers is 30 days. Another very fast journal, Journal of Retailing and Consumer Services. The editor is very fast. He will either accept and send your paper to review, or he will just say desk reject within 2 to 3 days. At the same time, there are some journals which takes a lot of time. So that can also save a lot of things to you, right? Important information while you're selecting a journal. So you would not be willing to wait for 3 years to get published into a journal. You are willing to get into a journal which is little fast when it comes into publishing. This is also important. This is only from our personal experience. Now, this is what we personally have experienced. I am not saying that it is a general thing. Again, I am telling you, it is not a general thing, but it is what we have experienced. So this is an average time that the journals have took after they have accepted the paper. So Elsevier takes 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, they will publish. Springer takes 2 to 4 weeks. Wiley takes 4 to 5 weeks. Emerald takes 4 to 8 weeks. So this is handy to you. Now, we are not talking of the acceptance process. We are talking of when the article is accepted and then it is made available online. How much time does it take? It takes this much of time. This is our personal experience only. Again, I'm saying because we might have submitted to these publishers and then they would have taken those times. My co-authors and the people who are in my network, they have shared this information with me because they have the first-hand experience of submitting to those publishers, right? So these things can be very handy to you when we are publishing. Another very important thing that you can look at, I have talked to you about two grading systems, ABDC and ABS. If you would look at the latest ranking of these two categories, ABDC gave it in 2019, ABS 2018 list, you will see that the top journals, there is no argument on them. So for example, marketing science is a top journal. It is A star in ABDC and it is 4-star in ABS. So the 4-star in ABS is the top level journal. So in ABDC, A star is the top level. So the lowest level in ABDC is C, and in ABS, the lowest level is level 1. So there is no argument on the top journal. So Journal of Academic Marketing Science, I was just discussing with you, I was giving this example, being published by Springer. It is again A star by ABDC and it is 4-star by ABS. So there is no argument. The top journals are top journals. But the confusion comes in when you go down the level. Now, for example, look at this Marketing Intelligence and Planning published by Emerald. ABDC given it A category journal and ABS given it level 1. So level 1 is entry level in ABS, right? So ABS says, no, it is okay journal. So I will consider it in my listing, but it is not that good a journal. But ABDC says, no, it is a category journal. So A category journal is like a prestigious journal, you see. So European Journal of Marketing, ABDC says it is A star, ABS says it is 3 level. So 3 level, you are 2 levels behind as far as ABS calibrations are concerned. So ABDC says it is A star, right? So this is how we need to kind of, look at also. So for example, just food for thought I want to give you that ABDC is a very, very important category in the sense that if you would go to the Southern Hemisphere, in the countries like Australia and all, their promotions are based on the publications in the journals listed in ABDC. If you go towards Europe, London, America, Canada, the ABS is given more weightage. So if you are willing to land somewhere in UK or London, you can target the journals listed in ABS category. And if you are willing to get into Southern Hemisphere, you can target the journals listed in ABDC category. So these are the ways by which you can select the good journals, right? So this is how step number 1, how to select good journals. Now coming on to the article categorization. What type of articles do we academicians publish? And which should we publish? It is not only what type of do we publish, it is about what should we publish. This is an important point. So let us talk about that. The academic articles, when you would look at, almost 95% of the academic articles that we are talking are empirical papers, right? So the categories are empirical papers, review papers, conceptual papers, and commentaries. So what are empirical papers? These are the papers where you generally collect data, you formulate a questionnaire, you have had a discussion on questionnaire formulation also. You gather the data using that questionnaire and then you analyze it and then you project the findings of that. Then you have review papers. Review papers are the critical and constructive analysis. So you look back to the earlier literature, what has happened, and the people coming up with critical analysis of the already published work. And then they give you the agenda for the further research in that topic. So these are review papers. And then you have conceptual and commentary papers. Conceptual papers are when you are evolving a theory, when you're giving a new concept. Commentaries are the opinion-based type of thing. So commentary generally comes from the seasoned researchers, the well-established researchers. So you and I are not invited for commentaries. So giving you these two examples, both of them are my paper. International Business Review, A category journal. This is an empirical paper where we have collected the data and we have analyzed this data and we have kind of, projected the findings and then we have built a discussion around this. So this is empirical paper. Now, second paper, which is here onto the right-hand side of your screen, is a review paper published in Journal of Business Research, another A category journal, impact factor more than 4. So now the fresh impact factor of JBR is, I think, 4.8 or 4.9, somewhere around. So this is a review paper. So here we have not collected data. Here we have not analyzed the data, but here we have looked at the research around a topic, and then we have tried to make sense of those researches. We have understood where we have come as far as that topic is concerned till now, and where we can further go from here. The confusions related to the topic were always were also catered to. And this is what, when we are doing, this is a review paper. So this is what I've written in the download. So this is empirical, this is a review paper, right? So empirical paper is number one. So this is the number one choice of the scholars at the early stage of their career, because it is most difficult to write an empirical. It is most easy to write an empirical paper, and it is difficult to write a review paper, and it is even more difficult to write a commentary and then a conceptual paper. So just to give you what are commentaries, you can go to these two papers and you will get a very good hand information. So both of them are published in very good journals. So you will find that there is a word commentary written on the titles of these articles also. So this is European Journal of Marketing. I hope you would remember in that slide that I've shown you, European Journal of Marketing is A* ABDC. It is level 3 ABS. So it is a top journal, commentary published, right? So commentaries many of the times are invited from the seasoned scholars. So it is not from you and me, but it is from the seasoned scholars that you invite and you say that please write. And many a times you also submit, and then they will publish it. But generally you do not find an entry-level scholar publishing a commentary in very good journals, right? So you can look at both these articles and you will have an idea of what are the commentaries. But as I was discussing about researcher life cycle, you should not look at commentaries first. These are example of conceptual papers. Conceptual papers are very, very important papers. They would tell you how, if you will read a very good conceptual paper, you will know how a theory is evolved, because a new concept is being argued for, a new concept is being developed. A very important paper that I recommend to all of you to read, it is published as late as 4 February 2020, published in AMS Review, Designing Conceptual Articles for Approaches. These are very few articles who discusses about what is what, because the journals do not give them space, because usually such type of topics find place in the books only. But you have this published in AMS Review, you can go and you can read this article. So this article tells you about what are the approaches which you can follow if you wish to write a conceptual article, right? So this is also a very, very important and interesting conceptual article written by Russell Belk. In fact, this journal is a very important journal in marketing, Journal of Marketing Management. You can go, it was published in volume 35, 2019. So these are very latest articles that I'm discussing with you. There is, in fact, full issue of conceptual papers published in Journal of Marketing Management. Now, you can see the special issue was conceptual papers in marketing and consumer research. Guest editors were Russell Belk. Russell Belk was the man who I was showing you to the previous slide, who has published that paper. Now, all the papers in this issue are conceptual papers. So if you can read this full issue, you will have a very first-hand information of what is a conceptual article, right? So these are the 4 types of papers primarily that you find published by academicians, right? If you would look at where do you fit in, where do you and I fit in? Should we go to empirical paper? Should we go to review paper? Should we go to commentary paper or the conceptual paper? Because we are discussing how to publish in good journals and what to publish. Very many of you, if you belong to consumer, I am told that many of your research scholars are from commerce and allied and management disciplines. So you can actually make sense of what I'm talking, in the sense that we have a Maslow hierarchy theory also, Maslow need hierarchy theory. You will see that I have penned down these needs, various needs which are given in Maslow hierarchy. So I am just kind of paralleling it with your researcher life cycle and which type of paper should you first target. So as we have physiological and safety need, which is, if you do not drink water, you will die. This is very basic to you. So writing an empirical paper is like this. So that is why I've written starting. You should start with the empirical paper. It is easy to write an empirical paper. in fact, you should start from this. And then as you go up into the need, this is the second stage, writing a review article. So writing a review article is a very difficult task, right? So that is how you first start with empirical, and then you go to review. Then if you go ahead in your field to the extent that you can write a commentary article, I am paralleling with the esteem need, you can do that. And then conceptual article is perhaps the latest one. So on a lighter side, if you are writing conceptual articles, maybe you are about to retire. So these are for seasoned researchers. Right? I'm not saying we cannot give concepts. You and I can also give concept. I'm not saying we cannot give it, but generally this is how we should follow, so that we are not bouncing with a wall. We keep on bouncing with the wall, papers don't get published, and we say, oh, I'm done with it, I will not try anymore. It is because that you would be attempting to write a review, to attempt writing a commentary. You should go first with the first things. So empirical paper, right? So this is how first empirical. When you have published 2-3 empirical papers in good journals, then you can go to review articles. When you have published 2-4 review articles, then you can go to commentary. When you have published commentary, then you can go to conceptual articles. Don't do reverse engineering. Otherwise, you will only find a wall. So these were the 2 things that I think we can be very careful about. We can be very conscious about article categorization. So first step, we have looked at which journal should I select. So I've given you the 5-step process. Second is the article categorization. So you can look to publisher, you can then follow the rest of the 4 steps, and then you can look at the article categorization. So first you should cater to the empirical articles, don't go for review, don't go for commentary or the conceptual articles, right? Then we come on to writing a research article. So when we have decided that this is the journal that I will be targeting, when I have decided that empirical paper I will write, these 2 steps we have done. Now how to write this, right? So when you are writing research articles, so there are a lot of things that you need to do before you submit this. And I will try to discuss it in steps. First, deciding onto a research topic. It is very important to have a very pertinent topic in hand, and I will spend some time on this. Then how to detail your article, and then remember the time. So it is not I'm taking you back to the past, but it is about when you are publishing. You need to remember this. And then the collaboration, very important thing, and then the patience. These are the steps that you have to go through. Eventually you have to go through if you are looking to publish in a good journal. And if you are actually falling short in any of those steps, you are making your life difficult as a researcher, and that is for sure. So let us start one by one. So first of all, I will be starting from deciding the topic. So this is the thing that I'm starting from, deciding on research topic. This is, I will be talking of on this slide. Now, you know what? I remember, and I always share this. I was in this conference in IIM Lucknow, and Naresh Malhotra, the celebrated author, he was actually sharing. There was an editors meet the editor session going on, and he was talking about that many of the times, because he was editor-in-chief of some journals, and he was sharing that if I receive an article on Circle, I do not look at it, I desk reject it. Now, why I'm giving this example is because he personally, he was of the opinion that what more will you do to Circle? Circle is already such a mature topic. You come up with something newness in Circle, and if you are just implementing the Circle in A, B, C, and D, it doesn't make sense. Because see, it is like that if there is this fan, what mechanical engineering you will evolve now of fan? Everyone knows fan has been there since ages. What new will you do to the mechanics of fan? So you just do not do redundant research. This is the point number 1 when you're selecting a topic. Don't do redundant research. If you do redundant research, I will share with you how much is the rejection rate of an article in good journals. It is more than 60%. Maybe that you will never reach to the review cycle if your topic is not good, if your topic is not very good. Now, this is the mistake that many of us do. Don't just work on something because you like the topic. We are scholars. Many scholars, they come to me also. They would be coming to you also as a faculty at times, and they would say, sir, I like this topic and I work on this. See, the straight answer is it does not make sense. It does not mean anything whether you like a topic or not. But the point is whether this topic is required by the literature today or not. So you might like a typewriter, but typewriters are dead today. You might like a CRT-based televisions, cathode ray tube televisions, the box television, but they are dead today. Nobody is buying them. So it does not make sense you like it, right? So it is not about what you like. It is about what is required. And that is where the point number 2 comes in. You have to identify an area and you have to read the literature around that area. This is how you find out a topic. So you, first of all, when I'm saying that you just do not work onto anything which you say because I like the topic, let me tell you very clearly what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that you work onto something which you not like at all. But what I'm saying is you do not select a topic because you like it, but you select the area where you would like to work in. Now, for example, if you say that I am interested in artificial intelligence, this is an area, this is not a topic, then this is what the point number 2 is. Identify your area and read literature around this. First, you should identify your area of research, read literature, and keep on recording this. When suppose you are looking at artificial intelligence as a topic, then you start speaking on this, then you start gathering the literature around artificial intelligence from 1990 to 2000 to 2010 to 2020. You will see that what progress has been made in this area, that will be before you, right? And then when you would look at a bird eye view of this, you will come to know that where is the gap in this literature, and that gap you identify, and pertaining to that gap you select your topic. Do not select a topic just because you like it. Very important to know. Another very important point is that we have to keep in mind journals are profit making houses. They are not into something like where they are not making profits. They are making profits. You have to remember it. So their customers can be big corporate houses. So if they do not publish relevant, they don't sell. It is as simple as that. So if I am heading a journal, if I get a topic which is dead, which is already mature, will I publish this? Because I know that my subscriptions will be down if I will keep on publishing such dead topics. So do not invest in dead horses. Very, very important topic. And in fact, I will call it as death important. Your topic has to be such that it is live for years to come. Let me make sense of this. Suppose you are registered in PhD in 2020. You will take at least 2 to 4 years to get your PhD completed. So suppose you complete your PhD in 2024. They say that your actual research start only after your PhD, not when you are into PhD. And you work on to the topic which you have selected for your PhD also. So you have selected a topic in 2020. By the time you complete your PhD, it is 2024. If in 2024 your topic is not live, would journals accept your papers around that topic? You think by yourself. We have all discussed this. So which means your topic should be such that it is live for next 10 years. If it is not live for next 10 years, you are in problem because you will not publish. So you do not select a topic with a vision of 2020, but you select a topic with a vision of 2030, because by 2030 you will be at a respectable position in your career. And at that time, if you are an expert of a field which is required at that time, you have all the good things. Now, for example, the people who have invested in artificial intelligence, they are consulting companies today because they have had 6 papers on artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is the need of the hour. Everyone is talking about that. So if you have expertise in artificial intelligence, then you are consulting companies and you are a big shot today. Very important note, and I must very emphasizingly tell to all the scholars that you should not select a topic only for one research article. This is also a very big mistake that people and scholars do. What do I mean by that? For example, I look at your profile and you look at anyone's profile, and then you find that he has published one article on topic A, second article on topic B, third article on topic C, fourth article on topic D, and then you are confused, who is he? Then you look at the profile of another professor, and then you look at him and you say, he has published 6 papers in very good journals around same area. You call this second professor as an expert in that area, right? Whereas the first professor would not be called as an expert. So you have to invest in a topic. Now, investment, see, topic selection is an investment. If you do not understand this, research is not for you. Topic and area selection is an investment, because you are going to eat for your life around this expertise of yours, which you are going to build up by selecting your area of expertise in your topic, right? So when we say that one topic, how do you work again and again on that? Because you do not work on again and again on one topic, but you work on one area. So artificial intelligence, you might have 10 papers relating to artificial intelligence and its problems, right? Very important to note. Then detailing of research article. Second point. So the detailing, I will cover structure, positioning, some generally overlooked points, and the research has to be ethical. So let us come to this one by one so that we are not short of time. So first of all, research article. Anyone who have had any type of experience in writing a research article, they would know that these are some simple steps that you will find associated with any type of article. So you will have an introduction, you will have a review, you will have a methodology, you will have analysis, and then discussion, and then references, right? So more or less every journal has the same structure, as long as you are talking of one type of research articles, right? So generally people would ask, sir, does not this structure change when we change the type of articles? Now, for example, does not it change when I'm writing a review article? Because a review article might not have a methodology because I'm not using data. But let me tell you, my friends, a review article also has a very robust methodology. If you do not have a methodology in a review article, you are in trouble. So we can discuss some other day the review article and methodology. What do I mean by that? But more or less the structure is same, unless you are not talking of a commentary and a conceptual article. These are types of articles we anyways are not actually talking of today. So introduction is something that introduces the topic to the readers and gives the reasons to the readers to know that why this work is being done. Review you use to build the hypothesis, methodology, what our method follows, and analysis, the tools that you are using, and then the discussion. Now I will spend some time on discussion in coming slides, because this is a very, very important part of your research paper. And then the different references. So today references are not a very big deal, because you have a lot of reference management tools like EndNote, like Mendeley. So they makes your life as a researcher easy as far as these references are concerned. So you need not to be much bothered about this, but you just have to be taking care of some very critical aspects in that I will try to spend some time on. Hypothesis development. This is a very, very, very small but yet very important thing. It is advised that you as a researcher should develop your hypothesis from literature. Do not develop hypothesis just like this. And I would recommend all of you to use your review to develop your hypothesis, and you present your hypothesis like this. So maybe your hypothesis is that the source credibility has an impact on consumer attitude. So rather than just writing H2 as this, you make a kind of a figure around this, and this is what people would like to have. I remember one of my research papers that I've submitted. Now, editor has written back to me saying that it is better that if you make a model out of this, if it is better that if you make a figure out of this, because generally reviewers and editors would like to have a snapshot view, because when a paper lands to a editor, he is not reading the paper in depth. He's just looking at it from as a bird eye view, and he should come to know what is there inside the paper. And that is very self-explanatory also. So you need not to read the entire sentence of what is H2, what is H4. You just look at this figure and you know it. So this is one of the tricks. I would rather say that you can adopt, rather than simply writing H1, H2, H3. You can just kind of make a figure around this. Now, super important, that important. If you do not take care of this, you are in problem. Positioning of an article when you're writing this. Structure, we have discussed positioning of an article. See, what do I mean by positioning? By positioning, I mean, and this is very critical to understand and very risky also at the same time. And try to listen it with and lend your ears to me for rest of the discussion, because it is very important. Positioning of the research article means where in existing literature your research paper fits in, right? Number one. Number two dimension of positioning is your research article robust enough, composed enough that it is talking of only one thing, or it is spreading and going here and there? I have just discussed with you how to select a topic, and then I was talking about you just go to the literature, dig the literature, report it down, and then you try to find out that this is where the gap is, and you pick it up and you then start working on it. This is how you are selecting the topic. This is what we have just looked at. Now, if you have selected your topic like that, one dimension of positioning you have already addressed, because that question, where does your paper fits in, where does your research fits into the existing literature? So if you have identified a gap by following that method, you would say that I have filled this gap, and hence place this research at this place in the existing literature. And this is the positioning of your article. You would be hearing this word very often. What is the gap that you have addressed? So gap addressing means this only. So if you know what gap you have addressed, you also know the positioning of your article, right? So that means if you keep on repeatedly working, so the first point in title selection that I told you, don't select a redundant topic. So that would mean if you're working on a redundant topic, so you are working again and again on something which is already there in the literature. So where will you place your paper now? Where will you place your research now? Right? So you need to look at where can you fit this up. And I tell you, as a reviewer, I am reviewer to some journals, you have to convince me, where is this article fitting into the current literature? If I am not able to, if you are not able to convince me on that, it is a problem, right? So now, what are the basics? As a result of here I have mentioned reviewed. Now these are my reviewing learnings when I am reviewing an article from these journals. I have found these issues related to the positioning of articles. So I'm highlighting 6 issues, very important issues. Issue number 1. Scholars don't stick to the topic in hand. Often reverse engineering is done. So what will you see? The scholar has started writing the paper, suppose on advertising. They will write on advertising. Then all of a sudden something else comes in, right? So when something else comes in, then it is a problem. So which means your article is not robust enough. It's not composed. It is talking of too many things illogically, right? This is what you have to stick to your topic. Don't try to make yourself expert. I mean, many times our motivation is such that we would like to address 10 points at a time. Come on. Even Jagjit Seth also addresses one issue when he writes a paper. Russell Bell addresses one issue when he's writing a paper. Don't try to do too much. It doesn't happen like this. You just have to stick to one thing. There are papers who would say, I have touched upon consumer behavior. Come on, consumer behavior is such a vast term. So you go to your books, consumer behavior encompasses personality of the consumer, attitude of the consumer, learning of the consumer, self of the consumer, motivation of the consumer. Are you touching upon everything? No, your title, your topic has to be very specific. It has to be like understanding attitude, and that too in deep inside it. What is it in attitude that you're addressing? Writing, understanding consumer behavior of this. Either you are god of research, I do not know. I mean, this is what I at least find as an issue. I'm sharing my personal things with you. So issue number 2, paper looks an illogical combination of discrete arguments. I call it as issue number 3, which is related to issue number 3 also. So it says ensure every bit to have a smooth flow of writing without reading shocks. I call this as reading shock. What are reading shocks? I've started reading the paper with excitement. If the paper has come to me as a reviewer, I will read it, advertising, and all of a sudden you have started talking about something else. This is a reading shock. I was not prepared that this thing will come. And that is what we mean by the discrete arguments, combination of discrete arguments. We need not to make our paper the packets in packets which are discrete, which are isolated from each other. We have to make it one story, and one story will be made when you have the connections in between, right? So be sure of this. If you are changing the flow of your article, it has to be logical. It need not to be just like you are speaking this in this paragraph, from another paragraph you started speaking something else. Would create problems to you. Issue number 4, don't tap too much in a paper. I've already discussed about this. Stick to a precisely defined problem. Issue number 5, article often fail to establish its in place in existing literature. I have spent time on this also, and it is difficult to find right positioning article unless you have reviewed the literature. So these are the issues. If you do not take care of those issues, you are going to have a lot of problems. Just to let you know this, this is a review sheet of one of the articles that I have received. And you see this, this is what I'm writing to these people, the authors. See this problem with the positioning of paper. Authors start with argument of exploring perceived benefits, perceived risk as perceived from advertisement. I've told them which line they are writing this. And then an attempt has been made in the present study to investigate the service advertisement effectiveness on the respondent's purchase intention. As the paper progresses, the advertisements are not coming in picture. What is this happening there? If your objective is to understand advertising's phenomenon, why advertising is not coming in picture? Suddenly you are inserting time. So this discreteness and the flow is breaking up, right? You need not to do that, right? Development of arguments at paper is very weak. It can be found in multiple places. One such example is line this and this. So if you will read this, a review sheet can be 3 to 4 pages long, right? Another review sheet of another journal where I have just told them that please do not do this. The positioning of article is very weak here, right? So you need to be very careful when you are doing all these things. Positioning of the article is a real problem. Third problem when you are writing, when you write an article, generally you tend to overlook the ethical aspects of research. Very, very important. If today the ethics are no less important than plagiarism. You have had a discussion on plagiarism, but I will spend some time on that. So let us look at some generally overlooked facts while scholars are writing articles. Number 1 is discussion section. I tell you, you are an expert of your field. I might be expert of my field. You have done a research, I have done a research, so I know inside and out of this research. But you just have to understand very important thing about this. And that thing is that this paper is not for you. This paper is for readers. This paper is going to help someone in their decision making. You need to understand this. So if maybe Google is subscribing to some IT journal, so the research which is being carried out in journals about IT, maybe Google would be using it into their decision making. So the people who are publishing on coronavirus today, maybe the health authorities across the globe are reading up these journal articles and they might take them into decision making. So these people who are going to take your research in decision making, they're interested, they are not expert of the tools that you have applied. Now, if I am the reader, I might not be knowing factor analysis, I might not be knowing ANOVA, I might not be knowing t-test, you know it as a researcher. So you have to present your finding to the reader in such a way that even if they are not expert of these t-test, ANOVA, factor analysis, cluster analysis, structural equation modeling, CFA, they should understand this. And you also have to tell them that this is what was the existing scenario as far as this topic was concerned, and this is what it is today, and this is what my research says, and this is how you can use it. And this all you give in discussion section. Spend a lot of time in writing discussion. If you do not do that, it is problem. Very important line, discussion section is about calibrating your study with earlier work and make the positioning strong. Right? It should be written thinking that no one would read discussion. If one would read discussion only, he should know the past and present of the topic at hand. Very, very important point to highlight. Even if I am reading your discussion, I should know what is the topic, what is done in past, what is past on the topic, and what is this study saying, and how can it be helpful to me, right? So you need to cite a lot of earlier literature while you're writing a discussion section. You need to place your article in existing literature by highlighting the earlier literature and putting it vis-a-vis to what was already published and what is the new that is found out in this study. Very, very important thing. You have to spend a lot of time in writing discussion. Implications and future research agenda. Very important thing, because if you do not give future research agenda in your articles, you see, we've just talked about impact factors. Impact factors, I have told you, are the average number of citations every paper published in a journal gets over the last 2 years. So citations is the key, right? So the future research agenda increases the chances of citations. Very important point. Editors would like it that you give future research agenda. Now, just to put this in perspective, when you are writing a review article, when you are writing any type of article, then you say that why you are doing this article, you would say so and so author has done that study and he has recommended to carry out study in this domain. So what you have done, you have cited them. When you are giving as a scholar, as a researcher, future research agenda, you are increases the chances of your citations. Someone would cite you because every paper which is going to be written would need to give why you are doing this study, would need to talk of the gap. And those gaps today, if you would look at the papers, are being addressed considering the earlier studies saying that this should be done in the future. And that increases the chances of citations. And this is what the editors want. And because that increases the importance of their journals, right? So future research agenda increases the citations of the paper. So don't forget to put in implications and future research agenda, important point. Ethical aspects. Ethical issue today is not limited to ethical only. It has become obligatory and it is not less than plagiarism. That is what I have written in the down. Journals, every journal has a code of ethics document today. If you will go on to their website, you will find the code of ethics document, what they are following. And article retraction has also become a reality today because of ethical issues. And what is article retraction? I don't know whether you've heard this term or not, but article retraction is when you have published an article and then it was deleted from the journal because it was having some problems, be it ethical problem, be it something else. Just to make sense of this, I will come on that. So first point first, here we were discussing the discussion section. Look at this discussion section. This is a review comments that I've received on one of my papers long back that I submitted to a journal. Obviously, I will not name the journal because I'm trying to discuss a point with you. The reviewer here is telling me citations cannot be given here and may be removed to the literature review section. So this reviewer is telling me that citations should not be given in discussion. I just want to tell you, discussion is that section where you must give citations. Unless you would not come to know what was previously there and what has been added by your study, right? So this is the discussion section of my IBR paper, International Business Review. There I am very clearly writing. For example, you pick up any line from here, you see the blue things are all the citations. My discussion is full of citations. This is what it is telling you, that where and how you are looking at your study vis-a-vis to earlier studies onto the same topic. You would not come to know unless you do not put your study in parallel to the existing studies carried out on the same topic. Now, for example, another dimension of understanding the support for hypothesis 2 from literature perspective takes us back to the work of Keller and Lemon. So what I found out, I am just paralleling it with Keller and Lemon. Keller published brand equity in 2003 in one of his celebrated papers. So what I am doing, anything around brand equity should be discussed in light of brand equity, and Keller is father of brand equity. So I must discuss what Keller gave, what has been happening now, and what is this paper talking today. Unless I do not do this, my discussion is incomplete. You need to be very much careful about this. And then I'm coming on to the ethical sensitivity, ethical issues that I've just discussed. Look at this paper, Journal of Global Marketing, published in 2016, and this is the paper name and the author details are below. Paper got published, and that is why it is onto the journal's page, onto the journal website. And then this is the author, you can see. This is the abstract of this paper. Now coming up this thing in October 2016, it was published in 2016. Now this is coming in October 2016. And look at this, what is it? And this is on reflection. This is the editor-in-chief writing, right? Editor-in-chief saying, on reflection, I find the above work does not proposes any hypothesis, nor does the work posit a conceptual framework or the model that could be empirically tested. I also note that the empirical study is based on sampling methodology, which may compromise the scientific validity of the results. I recommend that readers are mindful as such. You know, what does it take for an editor-in-chief to write this? I would like, as an editor-in-chief, to increase the acceptance of my journal. I would want the people to read my papers published in my journals, but here the editor is saying, be mindful, don't read this. And this is ethical issues, because even if your paper is published, you are under lens. This is what I'm trying to tell you, if you're not ethical. Look at this also, 127 papers from India has been redirected, which means deleted from the journals because of image duplication and manipulation. You cannot manipulate, right? So you will read the article, you will find unlike plagiarism in papers, scientific journals are also having a lot of duplications and also. Look at this, two elite medical journals are retracted for coronavirus papers over the data integrity questions. So coronavirus is a big hot topic, you publish it, but you know, these are very prestigious journals. If you would know about the Lancet and the New England Journal of Medicine, very prestigious journals in its field. That journal has redirected to papers. If Lancet is doing it, that means it is a problem. So just do not think that you are published and your story is over. Don't look at it like this. But you be careful that whenever you are submitting anything, you have to be 100% sure about that what the work you have done is absolutely ethical. There is no problem with this, because one of the primary characteristic of a scientific work is its ability to replicate its results. There are journals which are asking you to submit the data also when you have submitted a paper, so that the results can be replicated by someone else. And I will discuss that also. Okay, another thing you need to remember when you are submitting while writing a paper. You are submitting in 2020. Please remember this. Many people forget it. If you do not remember it, you are into trouble. Now, for example, with due respect to all our professors, you know, the time has changed. You would be hearing our very senior professor saying, don't do this, the title has to be like this, title has to be like that. Those all things are there. But today the times are changing, you know. And when times are changing, you have to change with time. And if you do not change with time, you are in trouble. So, for example, the title. Don't choose a boring topic. Many examples are establishing this fact. You have to choose a title like that, which actually fits to the demand of 2020. I will talk on that also. Don't be orthodox. It's time to move on. Concentrate on idea, not on language. Your idea is more important. See, one of my co-authors always say, as doctor needs nurses, similarly, the researcher needs the language editors. For you, the essence is to generate new ideas. You get it vetted from a language expert. Services are there. If you are an expert, you do it. But don't concentrate on, don't spend your time, don't waste your time in language. Language editors are there. So doctors, if they keep on spending their time on nursing duties, when would they do surgery? Your task is to generate idea, to seek novelty, to add to the existing literature, but not to fume around the language things, right? So you just have to kind of, you know, be very much careful about your idea, the novelty that you are actually presenting. Space management, it is very important. Generally, you will see people would paste the copy of the tables of spaces. Don't do this. I will show you some examples also. And then display your work. Use graphs, use graphics, use figures. That is important, and that is the idea that you need to follow in 2020 if you really want to make a mark. Look at this. I'm touching these aspects one by one. Number one is title. This is the editor-in-chief of one of the journals, Spanish Journal of Marketing. He wrote back to me about that you should consider the change of your title, because I'm looking at the watch, the time is short, so I'll be a little fast now. You have to be more informative. So the title is important. So later on, I changed the title to I was born, loved, accepted, criticized and criticized, story of acres, this and that, and the paper was accepted. So this title was accepted. Title is important. Look at some of these title examples. First title is yes, no, I have been sleeping and now I'm dead, undead, the body and medicine. So can you imagine this is a title? This is the title. This is how, and you know, you are not on 2020, it was published in 2008, right? Then you have second thing, which is 1 + 1 is greater than 2. How investors react to new product releases. How would you look at this 1 + 1 greater than 2, putting that into a title? You would say it's absurd, but it is accepted by Journal of Marketing, published by AMA, the top journal in our field, super top journal in our field. Look at the title. I want to know the answer. Give me fish and chips. Is that a title? But it is a title accepted by Journal of Consumer Research. You know what Journal of Marketing and Journal of Consumer Research are? FT journals. And those who don't know FT journals, just read about FT journals and you will come to know. IMs are giving lakhs of rupees to their professors if they're publishing in FT journals. And these journals are having such type of titles. We need to change, right? So this is from one of my blogs. This is what I've already told you, so I will not spend much time on that. And this is the space management thing that I was talking about. Here I have presented 4 ANOVAs in one table only. Generally what the people would do, they would have 3-4 different tables for 4 different ANOVAs. Does not make sense. You just have to appreciate the fact that the journals are incurring a cost when they're publishing, and they would like to have a concentrated information without wasting much of the space. And that is where you have to do the space management also. Otherwise, you will get it back from the reviewers or the editors. Collaboration with others, very, very important. You need to accept this fact that you are not an expert in everything. And today we are talking of interdisciplinary approach to publishing. We have to accept that perfection is God's business. Don't try to be perfect in everything. Just be good in one and collaborate with others whosoever are good at X, Y, and Z. Publishing makes and takes and requires n number of skills. You can be expert in one skill. You take the other skills from the other people, right? And you collaborate with them. It expands your horizons. Journals prefer it, and it also helps you in establishing yourself. I cannot tell you the learning that goes behind when you exchange your minds with others. Collaboration is very, very important. Currently, I'm working with 5 international authors, and I know how much I have learned from them. And I just cannot share everything that I have learned with you. But you know, when you jump out of your box, you come to know about so many things, and I guarantee you, you would have never come to know about all those things had you not got in contact with these people. Collaboration is the key, right? Look at this. I've taken it from the Elsevier website. One of the criteria that they are taking is international collaboration. Look at this, right? So international collaboration is one of the parameters that they take, which actually makes their journals to get into the good quality ranking. So this journal in 1999 was having less international collaborations, but in 2017 it is having 50. So international collaborations is part of their evaluation system. You need to collaborate. So chances are that if you are co-authoring with international author, this actually helps the journal also, and that also kind of a unwritten testimony to the fact that the paper is expected to be better because 2 different minds are merging together and they would have come up with something novel. Important slide. It comes with time. Have patience. It will take time. Starting to publishing cycles can be in years. If you think that you can publish a paper in a good journal in 2 days or 3 days, forget research. Go to a magazine writing because they publish in a day or two. You cannot publish unless you do not have this factor of patience in you. You have to have patience. Reviewers might trouble you. You have to be patient with them. Reviewer suggestions can be multi-pages. I will share with you how many pages reviewers can trouble you with. And you have to actually answer them at each and every point. If you do not answer them, they will reject you. Stick to quality. The process of publication would test your patience to the highest order. You can carry on your efforts or you can succumb to it. If it is not your cup of tea to wait, to have patience, to wait for quality, because it takes 1 year to 2 years to maybe 3 years to publish an article in a good journal. But if you cannot wait for that long, you need to look at that, look at something else. Editors also might allow you, look at this, journals can have around 65% rejection rate, and many times without reason, in your view. This parenthesis thing is very important. In your view, you will say, see, I was reading the paper of Russell Bell. Russell Bell has written no good than me. Why he has rejected me? Why he has accepted Russell Bell? It is in your opinion that there is no reason to it. And you will submit to 10 A-star journals, all 10 of them would reject it. 65% rejection rate is a too high rejection rates. And this is an average. There are journals who have 90% rejection rate also. So you have to have patience. If 10 journals have rejected you, if you say, no, it doesn't work for me, I will go to any Tom, Dick and Harry journal, I will publish it, I need API, then no one can help it. But you have to have patience if you really want to get to a good journal. Rejections are part of life. If you do not learn this, please leave the field. There is no alternative to this. Every rejection is a reality. You submit to a good journal, they will reject. If it goes into review process, they will come up with lot of observations which you have to address. And if you cannot address those things, you are in problem. Right? Look at these papers. These are my papers only. Published in Spanish Journal of Marketing, Scopus Listed Journal. It was received by the journal on 26th April 2016. 26th April 2016, and paper was accepted on 22nd September 2017. 1.5 years in only reviewing cycles and acceptance of the paper. 1.5 years. And this is a review paper, by the way. And if it is a review paper, it would have taken a lot of time. So it took me around 1 year to write this review paper. So that means in 2016, I have submitted this paper, but I started working on this paper in 2015. So a paper where I started working in 2015 has seen the light of the day in 2017. So the 2 years time it took. So this is reality. Now this is International Business Review. You can look at the dates. So received in June 2017 and 15 January 2018. So around 7 to 8 months in that review cycle. So just 7 to 8 months, a year, journals would take time, because if a paper gets into review cycles, this paper was revised thrice. So the reviewers didn't agree. Reviewers keep on coming up with the suggestions, keep on coming up with observations, and we didn't come to it. We keep on doing it, and ultimately to the point where it becomes acceptable to them. This is reality. Patience is reality. Look at another thing. This is one of the authors from Portugal, from Europe, and we are working on a project together. The first mail, I have highlighted this, first mail we have started exchanging regarding our project was on 30th October 2019. And the screenshot was taken on 7th July 2020. So almost 8 months, 95 emails has been exchanged. And we have just finalized our questionnaire till date on this. We have just finalized the questionnaire, and then we will float it. We are collecting the data from Europe on this. And this is in addition to the numerous video conferencing calls that we have had, numerous Skype calls that we have had, numerous phone calls that we have had. These all are in addition, right? It takes time. Another thing, Justin Paul from USA, 703 mails have been exchanged. And again, it is in addition to the Skype calls, the WhatsApp calls, the phone calls, the conferencing and all that. And till date, we have published 2 papers together and many are in pipeline. So you just have to learn this. Patience is the key. If you do not look at the patients, you are in problem. Look at this. This is one of the review comments that we have got on one of our paper, which is published in JBR. This paper I've shown you, it is a review paper. This is the Master's Marketing Review Synthesis and Research Agenda published in Journal of Business Research. Can I count you how many pages the reviewers comment have given us? You look at this page number 1, page number 2, page number 3. I have not taken the other things here, but there are many. I will show you the other things also. And you have to respond to each and everything here. And when you have to respond to each and everything, it takes a lot of time to do this, you know. Right? So it is important to handle the reviewers. I have one more slide on to reviewers comment, how to handle reviewers, and then there I will discuss this. So which means patience is the key, because rejection is part of publication. Rejection is part of publication. If you do not treat rejection as part of your publication, you are into trouble. Why you get rejected? Just to share this to you, many of the studies are replicated. Only reason is that it is not done in the region and hence you are doing it. Very amazing to note, but 20% of the articles submitted are plagiarized. Please don't do this. You have UGC guidelines also now. Look at this very interesting figure. Articles received between January and May 2020 to some of the journal articles are as follows. Journal of Marketing, the top journal, 306 articles are received in 6 months. International Journal of Consumer Studies, 455 articles are received by this journal from various authors in these 5 months. Journal of Retailing and Consumer Services has received 500 articles from across the globe. And look at this, Journal of Business Research, 2,000 plus articles. Boy, imagine you are editor-in-chief of JBR. Imagine. And how much JBR published in an issue? 10 articles, 12 articles, right? So they would publish 60, 70 articles for these 5 months, and they've received over 2,000 articles. That means what? If you give the slightest of the reason to reject your article, they will reject it. It will not even go into the review cycle, right? So you have to prepare your article in such a way, there the abstract becomes very important. I have personal experience of editors. I am on the editorial review board of International Journal of Consumer Studies. His editor-in-chief is telling me, for me, abstract is very important, because abstract gives me a snapshot of what is inside. Your abstract is something that you should spend time on, so that at least you don't face desk rejection. If you cannot convince the editor-in-chief by your abstract, you know, tons of papers are only submitted. And to handle these many papers by editor-in-chief, JBR has 2 editor-in-chiefs. 2 people handling these many papers, it takes a lot of toil, I tell you. And if you give them any reason to reject the paper, they will reject it, right? So no second chance.
Dr. Ajay, if I can request you to conclude in next 10 minutes so that we'll be able to take some questions.
Okay, I will do it in 10 minutes.
Thank you, sir.
Quick now. So what are the major reasons for desk rejection? These are the reasons. Number 1 is contribution. Your article contribution is not that good. Then originality. Number 3 is interest to journal's audience, and others are these, right? So because of time scarcity, I'm just rushing through it. You are not submitting an article which is to the scope of the journal, type of paper, age of reference is very important. You are submitting an article in 2020 and you are having latest reference of 2010, doesn't make sense. And ethical conventions, length, clarity, and all that, right? So there can be many reasons for this. This was about writing research article. So the last part, in 10 minutes, we will finish it. This is the time given to us. What you can look at when you are submitting. And for that, you need to know what happens when you submit. So when you submit, an article goes to the editorial office. Editorial office checks it for guidelines and requirements. Is it according to the guidelines? It is checked for plagiarism, and if it is not as per the guidelines and the plagiarism problem is there, it is sent back to the authors. So this is stage number 1. Stage number 2 is editor-in-chief. If it goes through this stage, it lands to editor-in-chief table. Editor-in-chief checks it for contribution and originality, among other things. And if these two things are problem, then this is desk rejected. If it goes through this stage, then it goes to area-specific editors. Area-specific editors means what? For example, Journal of Business Research is accepting papers in finance, in HR, in strategy, everything. So everyone is not expert in everything. So they have area-specific editors. For example, in marketing area, they have editors related to marketing area. So then it will go to the area-specific editor. If area-specific editor found the contribution okay, then they send it to at least 3 reviewers. And then the reviewer start the reviewing cycles, and they give their observations in from 1 month to 45 days, depending upon the journal. And then either reviewers suggest major revision, or they suggest minor revision, or they reject the paper. So 2 of the 3 reviewers have to accept your paper. Only then editor can accept it. And when it is accepted, then the decision is conveyed to you by the chief. So these are 5 stages. So what happens when you submit to a journal? Now, editorial office will send back the manuscripts to you because of the following things. If your referencing style are not as per the general guidelines, length of manuscript if it is over length, formatting issues if your formatting is not proper as per the general demand, and the ethical issues. If the manuscript is traceable by the reviewer, then it is a problem. I would have loved to show it to you, but I do not have time. That to what extent journals emphasize on this point. Things which matters practically, number 1 is ethical sensitivity. Very important. If you are not ethical in your submissions, you will face a lot of troubles in times to come. Never submit a half-cooked manuscript. Be sure that you have completed the manuscript with every possible standard. You should know how to handle reviewers, and you should also try to collaborate. This is the point that I was talking you. Now, this is Journal of Consumer Psychology, an FT journal. I have received a mail from the office of this journal, wherein it was saying that I have to get rid of my name from the article that I submitted to this journal in the MDA file. If you do not know what is this MDA, you go onto your system, select any Word file, right click onto the Word file, go onto the properties. In properties, you select the journal section. In journal section, the owner tab is there. And in the owner tab, it is written who is the owner of this Word document. If you have created any Word document on your computer, you are by default the owner. This journal is telling me delete the name from there also, so that we can send it to the reviewers. Ethical issues. Management Science, another FT journal. We have submitted to this journal as late as 18th May 2020. This journal telling us that you first fill the data and code disclosure form, only then we will process this article. And what does that mean? That this journal would take the data from us. They will paste the data if our article gets accepted along with the article itself, so that what we have claimed in our article, anyone from the public can download the data, can replicate the results which we have done. And if there is a problem, then the article can be retracted, right? So we are sitting in these times. Handling reviewer, very important point, which is a very, very practical point also. And if you do not take care of this, we are into problem. Very quickly, let me go through this. You just have to accept this, that reviewers are experts who are trusted by editors. When you are submitting a journal, you are submitting here S, and your paper is accepted here, A is here, right? In between S and A, you have a lot of gates. So this is gate number 1, this is gate number 2, this is gate number 3, this is gate number 4. Everywhere the reviewers are standing. And reviewers are the experts who are trusted by editors. Reviewers are responsible for maintaining the quality, and you have to satisfy the reviewers. And when reviewers gives you comment, you have to rebut the reviewers very logically also. Because without satisfying reviewers, you cannot publish your paper. These are some articles even published in journals. I would recommend you to read these articles. For example, properly responding to reviewers' comment, because responding to reviewers' comment is a reality. Published in Journal of Marketing channels, you should go and read this paper. The role and impact of reviewers on the marketing discipline, Journal of Academic Marketing Science, top journal. right? You can read these papers to know the importance of the reviewers in maintaining the quality of the journal. Look at this another sheet that I'm sharing with you, and this is important to look at. This is the response that we have given to one of the review sheet which we have received for one of our articles. If you will go to full length article, how lengthy an article is generally in research papers, how much is the length? 12 pages, 13 pages, 14 pages, 10 pages. Look at how many pages we have spent in just responding to the reviewer's comment and convincing him about this. 3 pages, 6 pages, 9 pages, 12 pages, 15 pages, and 17 pages. 17 pages response file we have to send to the reviewer in response to the comments that they have made to our article. And look at this, in response sheet also we have the references. These are all references, the references which we have used in our response. So when I'm writing this, I'm giving references. So this is the reference that I'm giving. When I'm writing and when I'm convincing the reviewer, I'm writing this. No, it would be like this. You have told us to do this, but it should be like this because it is already published. Someone has done this already. Convincing the reviewers is an important problem. Rebutting the reviewers, how to rebut? For example, this is the research observations. The RO is reviewer observation. Reviewer writes us that why don't you have the articles from top journals in marketing like Marketing Science, Management Science, Journal of Marketing Research, Journal of Marketing, Journal of Consumer Research. These are all FT journals. This is a review article. So he would want the top journals be represented in a review article. These are premier journals in our field. Maybe widening the research to include the product line and product line stretching may help bring in more articles. So this is a very, very important observation. And I know that if this, because we were into the third review cycle. So if we do not convince the reviewer at this point, the article might get rejected and our old toil will go waste. So we have to convince the reviewer. Just to respond to this one observation of reviewer, we have to write 1 page, 2 page, 3 page, 4 page. 4 page we have written just in response to this one observation of the reviewer. And you need not to make him feel bad about this. So like we again deeply acknowledge a very genuine concern about the article. This is what we write. We would like to humbly put it on record that the article is addressing a niche topic. Therefore, our search criteria has been restricted to the concept message. So by this line, I have told him what I have done is right. But reviewer also has might have an ego at times and logical ego. So further, you have to address his concerns also. So about the journals like Marketing Science, Management Science, this and this, we have gone through these journals and we could not find any paper which directly relates to this research. Having read the suggestion which the reviewer has given, we have again taken up the job of searching these journals. So I'm agreeing to the reviewer now that I'm again searching it. About any message research published, we have gone on the website of these journals and issue by issue we have searched, and the whole story I'm writing what we have done. And how many papers then we have cited, because we have talked about product line design, we have talked about product line stretching also. So we have found these papers like Mukul Vilas and all that, Kanam Srinivasan, and we have cited these papers and all the convincing goes on, and it took me 4 pages to convince. And in the end, I have to write with these changes of the article, we have realized that it has definitely enriched the various sections. Therefore, we are thankful to the reviewer for the suggestion. We hope that reviewer will also find it satisfying. And ultimately, the paper was accepted. So very important to talk to the reviewers in a better way, rebutting the reviewers, because there is no other way. In the end, what I would like to say is that all of us, we've got it in ourselves. And what do I mean by that is that we all can do good in research. I have some examples for you. Ajay Kohli, who was the former editor-in-chief of Journal of Marketing, the top journal. Naveen Dhonto, who is current editor-in-chief of JBR, is an Indian. Anirban, he is current editor-in-chief of Journal of Consumer Psychology, is an Indian. Rajdeep Grewal, who is current chief of Journal of Marketing Research, is an Indian. If we Indians can head the best of best journals in the world, cannot we publish in them? We can publish in them. But we just have to be careful and be patient and be acknowledging the facts which we have to go through while we are trying to publish in those journals. So I think with this, we can inspire ourselves to do some creative research. And thank you so much. This is all from my side, keeping the time in mind. And now I think we can discuss. if there are some questions around this. Over to you, Dr. Sharma, please.
Thank you so much, sir, for your informative, technical, and what I should call the different things about your presentation. So before I start about your presentation and taking the questions from participants, a very good afternoon to our professor DPS Verma, who is always present in the session. And we are happy, sir, you have nurtured us and you are observing us all the time. You are watching our performance, and definitely your blessings are very, very crucial for us. We don't bother about others, but yes, what you say, your even single word has a great meaning for us. So thank you for your blessings. So participants, Dr. Ajay, what the major takeaway if I see out of his presentation, that is he has repeatedly said that the patience is the key. If you want to have a qualitative work, if you want to take your name in the journals of repute at international level, you will have to be very, very patient. You will have to work uh, without taking any rest, without losing any steps of the process and everything. So Dr. Ajay started with the problem, and he has taken you to the publishing of the paper. So he has, if I say that he has included each and every input from session 1, that is starting with your problem, then questionnaire designing, discussion, literature, hypothesis. He has included everything. That means whatever you are doing from day 1 to the last day, everything will become a part of your publication when you are publishing it in a good journals. So we so we need to have patience if you want to have a good qualitative work. So thank you, Dr. Ajay, for giving and deliberating on the timelines, on the type of journals, quality of journals, and APDC journals, ABS journals, that all these journals are of repute. And I am hopeful that our participants, some of them are already doctorates, some of them are doing their PhDs, they will be definitely taking advantage out of this presentation, and some of them may contact you for any further guidance, or they may intimate you that, sir, out of your presentation, I have published my paper in so and so things. So that we are expecting from participants. So if you allow, I can take 2-3 questions.
Please, sir.
Okay. And I tell you, sir, on behalf of you, I have been replying some of the questions to the participants, which I thought that I can reply, but still I have something for you. The very first question some of participant is asking, sir, is there any special book you can recommend which is for that approved scale, which can be used in the same form? If you have any idea about that.
No, thank you for asking this question, Dr. Sharma. There is one book, if you are interested in knowing about the book, there is one book, Handbook on Marketing Research Scales. I know about my field, and this is a very informative book. It covers the scales of a lot of marketing constructs. You can go to this book. It is a very expensive book, somewhere around 7,000 to 8,000 rupees in India. So you can go to that book. But again, I would like to say something on this. When you are looking to scales, you should better be going to the research articles because they keep on coming up with new scales. Any book which is written maybe would at least be 2 years old. So maybe, for example, I have shared some papers with you. The paper which was about how to write the 4 approaches to conceptual articles, published in February 2020. So any book you purchase, it might not have that article into that. So you can read the articles of the journals along with the books. So it is not only one thing that you will do. Books are very, very important. At the same time, universities are spending a lot of money on purchasing these e-resources for all of us. And we should be going to those e-resources and keep updating ourselves about the newest things which are happening in our field. And that we will only come to know. So we are sitting in 2020 July. You can even look at a paper, which are early site papers on some of the journals, which will come in issues maybe in 2021. You go onto the JBR website, Journal of Business Research, they have this accepted paper section, which is called as online first. These papers are not given any issue numbers yet. They are not given volume number yet. Maybe an article which is accepted, which is currently online, but not given issue number and volume number, that would be given an issue and a volume number in 2021. But something which is officially will be published in 2021 is accessible to you now. So this is what I'm trying to tell you, so you will have an updated information about all those scales and all. So this is, I think, how we can get to know about the
Thank
scale.
you, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
And one of our other participant is asking that I have submitted one of my paper to 3-4 journals, but again it is being rejected. So can you suggest our participant that what can be the possible reasons for rejection of any paper? Forget about Elsewhere, Emerald or anything else. If you can generalize the things, that 3-4 reasons that why your paper will be rejected. I think you have covered everything, but still if you can repeat for the participants, that would be better.
See, there can be many reasons for rejections, and it depends upon how editor is looking at it. But when you are saying what are the major reasons, I have had a dedicated slide which I have spent some time on it also. But to put that in perspective as a question, number one thing is your contribution. Have you actually added something to the literature, or you are doing a replicative study? So I have shared with you some examples wherein the researchers keep on doing research onto the dead topics which are no more relevant. You better be working on a topic which is very much relevant, not only today, but in the times to come also. When you are actually choosing such a topic, now, for example, just to give you one instance, and you also know, sir, one of our students has got admission in IIT Madras. When he called us back, he said that, sir, my topic was artificial intelligence in marketing. And when he was talking of that topic only made the interview board to interact more and more with him. He is the same man. Maybe if he would have gone with that topic to the interview board, maybe the interview board would not have interacted much with him, and he would have not got selected. So the topic selection is first thing. You just cannot work on a dead topic, number one. Number two is the positioning of the article has to be intact. Number three is you have to be very much specific about a discussion section of your paper, and not to commit any very simple avoidable errors like language mistakes and all. If you can take care of all those things, I think article at least would not be rejected. But the first point is most important. The title, what you are working on, right? That is most
I
important.
think the participant must have got his or her answer to this. So one more question is coming related to this only, that if you can elaborate maybe 20-30 seconds, that what should be the content or the designing of writing the discussion of any research paper, what we should include. And second question, if I can put as a supplementary to this also, I think this question has been asked by 3-4 participants, that if I have included some citations in my literature review, do I need to repeat those citations while writing the findings and discussion also? So I think both these questions are related.
Yes, yes. So let me touch upon these questions one by one. The first question is discussion section. Is there a format? See, discussion section, as I've already told you, is something wherein you just convince the reader about, this is my topic, this is what already has been done, and this is what I found, and you parallel your finding with the existing finding. This is what you do. When you talk of formatting, you can follow the formatting. There are some formatting which is available. For example, we have this one approach which is called as method, context, and agenda approach. So you can divide your section into these three parts. How do you look at the methods which are followed into this article previously, and what you have followed, and the context, how the context of this research is different, and the theory, if you have added something to the theory. So you can divide these sections, but there is no fixed format that you will find. Generally, you will find the discussion sections written in paragraph form. 1 or 2 pages it will cover. So it will be into paragraphs. not many people divide into certain sections, but still if you want to divide it, you can always do that.
Thank you so
Now,
much.
second
Okay.
question, literature review you have already cited. Should we again cite it in discussion section? You can cite it again, but the context has to be different. You cannot repeat the two things. So for example, Keller 2003 brand equity. If you are writing anything on brand equity, that thing would be cited in introduction and review both. But at the same time, when you're writing a discussion section, then also you can cite it, but the context has to be taken care of while you're writing in discussion. In literature and introduction, you're writing it in different context. In discussion, you're writing it in a different context.
Thank you so much, sir. I think I have many questions, but I will take the last one because we are having shortage of time and we have to prepare for our valedictory session. And if you can just define what is self-plagiarism for the participants, because they are confused that what is this self-plagiarism.
We have had a discussion on this plagiarism yesterday also. And the self-plagiarism is when you are again and again citing yourself in your future works. Many editors don't like it. They will straight away reject, but there are, multiple opinions on this. Now, for example,
Dr. Ajay, are you there?
I think I got disconnected.
Okay, no problem, sir.
There was some issue.
I think many of the participants, they are asking for your contact detail. I think the first slide itself, where from Dr. Ajay started, it was containing all the details. He is having his own website also. So you can visit the website of our university, Central University of Haryana. You go to the department page. You can find all the details about Dr. Ajay and other faculty members. So with this, I think the time is not permitting us to take more questions. So by taking the blessings from our DPS, Professor DPS Verma, I am closing this section for forenoon session, and in afternoon session, we will be again assembling at 2:30. So before I declare the session closed, I would like to pose a very, very hearty vote of thanks to my own colleague, Dr. Ajay Kumar, for enlightening our participants on various aspects and contexts of research. Not only research, the qualitative research, how you can bring quality in your research, how you can publish in A grade or the star journals. It takes a lot of time to reach there. It is not one day job that, okay, you decide that I will be publishing for Journal of Marketing or Journal of Retailing. It is not a one day job. We need to pull up our socks. We need to work a lot, and then only we can reach up to that extent. Definitely his presentation will be a guiding force for all our participants and that will be helpful to take you and publish some of your work in qualitative journals or the journal which are indexed in care list. So thank you, Dr. Ajay, on behalf of your own department, your own school, your own university, and all associations, and for the participants. I have already floated the attendance list link as well as the feedback link. That feedback link was consisting for all the technical sessions starting from day 2 to till date. Now this today it was our last technical session. Now in afternoon session we will be having a different feedback form that will be on the nature of oral feedback about the program. And this was about the specific technical sessions which we conducted day wise. So I think you might have seen that it was included the topic wise what we have covered, and definitely your feedback what you are going to do, definitely it will help us in analyzing our performance, the performance of our experts, and that will help us to enrich and improve. If there is any gap between your learning and our deliberations. We will be definitely taking care of all those gaps in our previous, in our next coming maybe seminars, conferences, workshop, or any other training programs. We will request Professor DPS Verma also to analyze our performance. We will request him to give us our feedback so that we can improve, because learning is such a thing that every day we are learning. You cannot say, as Dr. Ajay also started with the same thing, that no one is perfect. To be perfect, we need to practice, 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 and practice. But then only someday you may say that, yes, I am near to perfect. No one will be able to even claim that, yes, I have become perfect. We can be near to perfection, but that requires a lot of effort and consistent practice, and hands-on practice is required. So that's all from our this session. And now we are going to reassemble at 14:30 hours. That means 2:30 p.m. for our valedictory session. Again, I repeat, it is compulsory for all the participants to attend the valedictory session. And this session, those who are not filling the feedback form, definitely they will not be considered for their e-certificates. Other
Dr.
things,
Sharma, I can see Professor Verma here, sir. Good morning, and it's so good to see you. So good to see you, sir. Maybe he wants to speak something.
Yeah, I have asked him to unmute.
Okay, sir, if you wish to speak something, you can speak. It is open now for you.
I think he's not able to unmute.
Maybe, sir, so good to see you amongst us today. So let's hope that you will also be giving the feedback for all those sessions that will help us in improve. So thank you, Dr. Sharma, for inviting me and for this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. We are meeting in afternoon for valedictory session at 14:30 hours. That's all for the day.